Hey, we're finally back up. Oh my god. Hey, we got one viewer. Hey guys. I'm live. Currently. As you can see, we are currently live. It says we are live. But none of you have showed up yet, or showed love in any way, except for a couple people. You should definitely come and join though. Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm sorry, we did not expect these many difficulties tonight. It is new setup, we are trying to get, acquainted and such and things, And when life gives you a lemon, squeeze lemon. Oh my god, the massive silence is not good, yes. You're kind of echoing. Interesting. Echoing. Hold on. Does that mean this guy's working? Hold on. Hey. Alright. Okay. Alright, this was good until now. Okay. So, if I do that, can you guys hear me out of the oh, now I'm good. Now I'm good? Okay. Alright, then I know where the echo is coming from. Alright, cool. I'm glad that got worked out. Cool. Alright, that's just because I have two microphones currently. I don't necessarily need both of them, but okay. Alright. Sorry. Two microphones kind of cause a little bit of problems with noise. It's okay now. It should be good. I just plugged in one of my microphones. Better, good. Okay, cool. Alright. Cool beans. I'm just gonna set a couple things up and then we should be Gucci gang. Apply. Hey, there we go. Awesome. Okay, cool. So then let's do this. Holden. Let's do this. And then we're gonna take this. We're gonna bring it all the way over here. And oh Jesus. Okay, that looks a little bit better than just a whole lot of nothing. Yeah, there we go. This is definitely gonna get a little frustrating. But, yeah. Nice. Wonderful. Awesome. Great content. Awesome. The number one thing I want to see. Exactly what I want to see on my Instagram. Go straight to the home page. What do you see first? Way too much ass. Way too much. Just saying. Okay, so I have a little bit of a course of discussion tonight. I mean, it's kind of prevalent right now. Literally right now. The election was, as of today, 2 days ago. We're still waiting our results from... Oh, actually, that would be good to pull up. We are currently waiting on results from... Let's see. Okay. So currently... the odds are 264 Biden, 214 Trump. So Biden is 54 points ahead. Excuse me. Nevada still needs time to count. Pennsylvania still needs time to count. New York still needs time to count, but they're almost done. Pennsylvania still needs time to count. New Jersey. Yeah, wow. Okay, so, I mean, the election went... I don't know. Wow, that's crazy. So, I'm not too involved in the election. Obviously, because I'm not a fucking presidential candidate. But when it comes to politics, I try to keep out of it. It's a little bit of a sticky situation, especially when it comes to people's opinions. Because technically in politics, your opinion does not matter. It does, to an extent, of course. Your opinion matters, when it comes to voting, for policies, for bills, for things that you have power over. But when it comes to politics, your opinion, most of the time, is either swept under the rug or it doesn't matter. Hello? Do we have a special guest coming up? Oh, we do. It's the infamous Marcus Van Horn. Our co-host is here in the building. Oh, just in time. Just in time. It's okay. We got on stream pretty late. Yeah. How do you like the new setup? It's
looking pretty nice.
Looking pretty different. Yeah, definitely. I told you it was gonna be different by the time we got home. Trying to mess with your camera here. You're all washed out. Yeah. Topic of conversation was the election, though.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Alright.
So, yeah. Hold on, let me see if we can get both of us in here. Okay, how was work, though? How was work?
It was one of those days, man.
Okay, alright.
It was one of those days.
Well, it's good, though, right? I mean, you were busy in some capacity. From what it sounds like, at least.
Definitely a little busy.
Okay.
But finally got here.
Good, I'm glad you're here. Finally!
Dude, honestly, I could go in about my day.
Oh yeah?
It was
one of them.
Dude, it was terrible.
Terrible.
It went from a Karen to a Chad to a Karen to another Karen.
Alright, sorry. Alright, now the people can see you. Sorry, people. I was told by chat it was a little echoey with both mics, so both mics should be working.
Okay. So that means it's echoey?
It's a little echoey, yeah. But it's because both of the mics are on.
I don't have a headset.
Oh, I forgot. Oh, no! Jesus Christ. Everything's going to shit. Okay, alright. I just saw it fall on. Jesus Christ. Hey, let's get
you messed it up. You messed it up.
I had no idea that you could zoom with this manually on the thing. Genuinely look pretty good without the light. So, I guess we're not using light for you.
Alright.
Okay. Definitely not going to put that light there, though. So, as you can see,
Getting a little setup.
there you go.
Just casually have it on the whole time without putting it in. I'm going to take the Velcro thing off. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Cool. Could you plug me in, sir?
Of course. Oh, you're holding the microphone. Oh.
Hello.
In?
I can't tell.
No, yeah, you didn't have your ding old dangers on.
It doesn't sound any different, so...
Did you turn, That's really my job. Doesn't sound any different? What do you mean it doesn't sound any different?
I mean, I can hear your mic. Oh, I hear that perfect. Yeah.
Tap on yours.
I can hear it.
Just don't touch it too much, because there's a reason why I'm holding this. It's pretty hard to attach microphones to this table. I've come to find out.
Okay.
So, yeah.
You didn't really set up too well, huh?
This took me all day. This took me all day.
Sorry. So the material you said was the election?
Yes, the election.
Rough. I mean, what have you touched down on? What have you gotten to?
Not much, because I was literally just starting right as you were coming up. The only thing that I said was that Joe Biden was leading by 54 points right now.
Yeah.
Because I pulled up the little Webby article over here. I'll drag it over so chat can see. So as you can see right here.
Yeah, that's
I was gonna say, I don't know if you can really see it super well. But it says right here 267 to 214. Now it was kind of surprising to see that, honestly.
It can take somebody by surprise.
Well, not surprising to like, oh my God, I'm gonna go riot in the streets, cough. Not to that extent, but like, there hasn't been a presidency in a long time. Well, I wouldn't say a long time. It's been a hot minute since a president hasn't been reelected. So I mean, you know, I don't know. It's
look, this election is not.
Man, Van Horn, lots of echo. Lots of echo. Not a little bit, a lot of echo. Like a major amount of echo. If you're still there. Yeah, that would definitely be helpful, because I want to get this problem figured out.
But yeah, this election, no matter what circumstance comes to mind for me,
yeah,
it's a lot of things are just going to go downhill.
Yes. Okay. So we still have lots of echo. What kind of echo is it?
That's what I'm pulling up right now. So I can listen to it.
Massive echo. Massive echo. Massive echo. Massive echo.
That's
Massive
probably
echo.
really annoying.
It's for you.
Yeah, it's you should probably just have one of the mics off. Because it's as of right now, it's just picking up both mics, so it's like it's not like echo, you know. It's like it's no matter how loud we talk, both of our mics are being picked up. So I can't hear anything now.
You can't hear anything.
Not a single thing.
Not even a little bit?
Oh, well now, okay. So we're going off of my mic.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? I'm just gonna leave it on. But Yeah,
I can
for
hear you
sure.
in one AirPod, then 2 seconds later the other.
Oh, okay. That's a little different then. But I don't. We just unplugged one of the mics, so
It's alright, we'll figure this situation out. It's no biggie. Well, this is the work in progress. So as far as I'm concerned right now, we're doing just fine.
But
Yeah.
so the election, man. The people, like at Target, there's already stuff going down.
What do you mean there's already stuff going down?
Like, so just the other night, right? I was I work at Target, so just the other night I was helping finish a guest,
Right.
and so I'm finishing up with the guest, and all I hear is the security guard waiting at the door. You know, excuse me, ma'am, can I see your receipt? Excuse me, ma'am, can I see your receipt? And this woman, granted, is speed walking out of the store, almost like jogging, with a full cart of stuff. So as soon as she gets out those doors, right, our security guard goes back to the office to start writing it up. I kid you not even seconds after that, we have another guy with a TV with the spider wrap, the security wrap still on it,
Right.
walk right out the doors.
Wow.
I swear to God, and one of the cashiers is just like, excuse me, like trying to run after them.
Right.
And it's insane what people are already doing, and I don't even know if that was just a ballsy couple or if this is what's going to be happening, if this is what, you know, the people after the election are going to start doing. Whatever it is, it's a real shame, man.
It really is, and especially like because of, you know, the tough time that we've already gone through. It's a shame to see people. I get why people are doing it. Like, if for 8 months you were deprived of pretty much everything except for social media and the internet and everything that's contained within your house because of the coronavirus, I can see why people want to get behind literally anything when they can have the chance to get their hands on it. And I'm not saying that's everybody, you know, right now. I'm not saying that's, you know, that's what's going on with the election, but there are some people out there that are just taking advantage of the time that we're going through right now, and it's hard to look at.
It's like almost sickening how much people are just like so free and willing to do what they're doing. Like,
Right.
Philadelphia never stopped riots.
No.
Like, talk about them might have gone down, at least for wherever you're at, but Philadelphia never stopped riots. Like, you could pull up on any social media platform, on Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube.
Right.
Just something about Philly that's still recent. Like, within last week, they still did it.
Exactly.
You know, and it's just like people are still walking the streets, blocking it. Cops are still out there trying to stop it, but they're not doing anything.
Right.
It's a very powerful movement that the people are putting out there, and it's working in a sense.
Oh yeah, of course it's working. Of course it's working. It's crowd mentality. Crowd mentality. It's not something that's, you know, that it's not something that we haven't seen before. It just sucks that, you know, right now, because of what we're already in, that it's so relevant.
Yeah.
That it's so popular, that it's happening as much as it is.
And it's taking a curveball on everybody, for sure.
Of course.
Like, I saw a video. Washington is like close to military grade, boarded up with everything that they have.
Oh yeah, because they're right now they're wholeheartedly
they're expecting riots.
I would be expecting riots too. No doubt about it.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, we live not even 15 minutes from Philly. I heard about it after the fact, but I was still scared about the fact that there were riots 15 minutes away from me, right across the bridge.
It's not even that fact. It's the fact of how much closer it could be and how much closer it could get. Seeing those two people walk out, like, coincidentally before, right before the election. Like there's...
I mean, yeah, of course, call it coincidence, but... Sorry, everybody. Call it coincidence, but it's really not.
It's just a shame, man. Like...
Yeah,
with
you would be surprised about, it's yeah.
With how everybody's taking turns with it and going about it is unsettling. And like the different posts from what people are saying, it's like wow, really, like you have to say that, but then it's like it could potentially be true. Like you have to...
yeah, of course.
I feel like some people don't do the facts. Like, for me, I haven't followed up with it. I haven't read into anything, so I'm just kind of like, I know who's running. That's about it. I know who's running.
Right. Yeah, of course. It's... I don't know. It sucks. I think the biggest thing that sucks about right now is how, like, subjected to other people's opinions we are right now. It's hard to be able to talk to people about your political standing without them either getting offended or angry with you.
Oh, very much so. So, just today, right? Going back to Target. Just today at Target. Obviously it's still irregular and still normal for people to take things, not scan stuff. Just try and get away with something, anything stupid and easy, right?
Right.
So, security for Target has been stepping up. They've been realizing what's going on. They've been trying to stop it. They've been trying to give recognition to the fact of, like, shit's gonna get serious fast.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, they're catching more and more people, like, just doing little stuff.
Right.
And let me tell you, these people were not happy about it. And, it's a real shame. They pulled the race card. They pulled the race card because they got caught doing something that they shouldn't be doing.
Wow.
I understand how it can be taken that way, but there's cameras in the building. It's not like we're just assuming that it's doing it. It's not like we're just choosing one person that does it.
There's evidence behind your claim.
There's evidence, there has to be clear evidence for it to happen. We can't, can't just be going off of, well, maybe they did this, maybe they did that, and it's just a shame that they go right to the race card, man.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's,
yeah.
I don't even have to go into detail about, the people or who did what did what, because it shouldn't matter,
It really doesn't matter, and it's right now, I mean, I can't even say just right now. I mean, it's obviously more relevant now than it has been in the past because of, of course, the constant racial issues that we've had for the past year.
Honestly,
or a couple of years. There was an initial Black Lives Movement years ago, or a couple years ago.
It definitely was not what it is today.
No, this is nope.
Granted,
there were no riots.
It's not even about the fact of riots. I wouldn't say it's riots. It's more people are walking the streets and coming together and supporting the movement, and that's what they're really going for. You'll see different posts about like people saying you guys are just being the people that they're trying to, or that they're imaging you as, and like there's also people out there who are just specifically trying to get a word out, and they're not even damaging property, doing anything really illegal. They're just making a movement, and the government is like freaking out about it.
Well, there's a lot of forces at play. There are some people that say that, right now, the Black Lives Matter movement doesn't mean anything, it shouldn't be happening, and I don't believe that. I feel like there are injustices in our society that, of course, need to be taken care of, but I do not think it should be to the point to where we're burning down personal businesses and buildings, and
that's where the movement is taken out of hand. It's not necessarily the imagery of the
right.
At least that's not how it should be. That's how it's being taken.
Yes,
because you said it yourself. People are saying that the Black Lives Matter movement is useless. It's not useless. It's trying to bring light to something that's been in the dark and shadows for way too long.
It's a matter of, and sorry, I didn't finish my full point, but there was, there's some people that say, this doesn't matter. There are extremists that say that there's, this entire thing matters. It has to happen right now. There's no other way around it. Violence, 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 or, there's radicals on both sides.
Regardless, it's going to take a while for the entire movement to be followed through with, to be understood by everybody, because people don't see what they're really trying to fully put out there.
Right, exactly.
And different people have different images of what they're trying to put out there.
Right.
And when they say Black Lives Matter, they're not just trying to make them only matter.
Right.
And I feel like that's not what people are getting. I feel like what the miscommunication is certain people take it as, well, we matter too.
Right, of course.
But what most people that I've talked to about this subject is trying to say Black Lives Matter will matter. Once all lives matter will matter once Black lives start to matter.
That's right. And a better way, it's just, I can see what you're trying to say. It's a matter of like, yes, everybody matters.
Obviously, everybody matters.
But there's a disparity in one part of this everybody that shouldn't be there. There's something wrong with this one group of people that have been... There's multiple things wrong with, how people are being treated in this one group, and it has been that way for, years.
It's honest. It's not even coming from color as what I see it. It's coming from stereotypes.
It is, yeah.
People stereotype people so badly, and this is for everybody. Like, the stereotypes just from every kind of person, like the different authenticities of different people is bad, man. Like, the difference between an older person and a younger person is stereotyped. The difference between, a white person and a black person is stereotyped. The difference between just anybody is stereotyped. And it really is a shame, because obviously it's not exactly what they're putting out.
I don't know. Well, okay, what do you mean by stereotype? Do you mean it's like
people put an image onto what that said person is supposed to be.
Okay, alright.
They put an image, like...
No, I understand what stereotyping means. I'm just trying to make sure that, like, myself and everybody else that's watching understands, like, what
I'm trying to say.
Exactly, what you're trying to say by stereotyping.
they put an image, a false image, I would like to say, on specific groups of people that just simply are not true, and it's just the judgment that's clashing. It's judging a book by its cover.
Right.
And so many people are so stubborn to just jump right to that, like, oh, well, you know, you look like this, so you must be that, or you sound like this, so you must be that.
Yeah.
And it's when you step back and really take a look at it, it's heartbreaking.
It really, I mean, yeah, it is. It brings thoughts to your head like, what can you do? At least to me. Like, I mean, like,
it's been happening for too long now. There's, like, the most we can do is what I would think is baby steps,
Of course.
And that's kind of where we're going with BLM.
Right.
It's our first baby step. It's the biggest step that needs to be taken, but with all the different accounts and information and different people saying this, other people saying that, it's not being processed through the way that certain people would like it to be.
Right.
Which is just ruining the I want to say imagery or the picture of what they were trying to accomplish and really bring light to the subject.
Right. I get what you're saying. It's
It's a tough subject to talk about.
No, it is a very tough subject to talk about. It's hard to wrap your head around as well, to understand the entirety of the subject, which is why when you talk to some people, they don't know. They don't know. And I think that's kind of an advantage that we have in our generation, in the younger generation. What are we generation? Are we Gen Z?
Gen Z.
Okay, alright. Well, Gen Z is supposed to be the worst generation. Well, I think our generation's probably going to be the first, or one of the first to, not exactly care about what, how much melanin you have in your skin. It matters on, whether or not you're a good person.
It's also like being brought to light. Like we can't take the full extent of we did this.
Right.
It's also what's going on in the household. How they're being made felt by certain different situations, and there's plenty of subjects that we can go off of just from different household situations.
Oh yeah, of course. It is I could totally go off.
That is a subject that could bring multiple different possibilities to why other generations and younger generations can understand or cannot understand.
Right.
Different kinds of subjects or movements, projects, anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Certain people will get it because they have a different mindset, and other people won't because they have a set in stone mindset, and some people just aren't flexible with hearing other people out or changing their mindset, wanting to listen to the other side. A lot of people think that they're right and they don't want to hear that they're wrong.
And that's where you become a closed-minded individual. You can't expand your horizons. You can't get new ideas. You can't build new relationships as a person like that. Honestly, it's hard. It's hard. It's hard as a human being not to be social, and everyone right now can be an example of that because of coronavirus. We were forced to sit in our houses for 8 months, almost 9 months now, without any kind of social interaction. Us as human beings were born as social creatures. It's one of the main functions as school. That's social interaction.
Oh.
A job. That's social interaction. Going to the mall. Social interaction. Talking to your friends on, FaceTime. That's social interaction. 3 out of 4 things you were just deprived of for the last, 9 months.
Everything is just so different thanks to COVID. And I don't even know if that's a thanks. With everything that's been going on, granted, yes, maybe without COVID we would not be here doing this exact thing at this moment.
Right.
But then again, without COVID we might have been doing this a lot sooner.
I think if COVID didn't happen, Trump would have still been president.
I mean,
I think if COVID didn't happen, none of anything that happened this year would have happened. The Black Lives Matters movement wouldn't have popped off as hard as it would have, right? The presidency would not have been as bigly publicized as it has been now. Because think about it, like within the past month, or I can't remember exactly when, but Trump got COVID, kicked it, and that was like the top of the news for days and days and days and days.
I don't know how I feel. He had COVID for 2 days?
He had COVID for, he was sick for like a week. He was sick for the same amount of time as everybody else, but he felt sick for like a day.
I honestly, going back on what you said, I feel like even without COVID, the Black Lives Matter movement should still have popped off.
Oh, of course. I'm not saying it shouldn't have popped off, of course. But all I'm saying is, I don't think the movement would be as widespread and as strong as it is if COVID didn't happen. Well, because just one more quick thing, because if COVID, like I said, stuck us in the house for 9 months, everybody's been stuck to TikTok, Instagram, everything. What have you been seeing on every single social media platform? Black Lives Matter. Everything, everywhere. Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, everywhere that you could think of, you see at least a couple of Black Lives Matter movement. At least while everything was still like, all over the place. When everything was still, George Floyd and, of course the tragic deaths that happened, that were publicized and everything. But
the Black Lives Matter movement for me started popping off after George Floyd, and I don't think anything would have stopped that. Right.
I don't think anything would have stopped that either.
At that point, COVID was still fresh, still growing. It wasn't well known. We didn't have mandatory masks to go into stores or come out of stores, go out to the mall. Things were still open to a normally fashion. And that's where everything just started to pick up, and everybody just started bringing cases to life that 100%, like 1% of the world and population saw.
Right.
Some of the cases that were brought up, I haven't heard of, and there's been multiple in the past. Maybe it's because I haven't touched with the news, but even then, it's still not big on news. The cases from in the past, like
shootings and stuff of people dying.
Like George Floyd was on social media so much longer than it got to the news.
There's a reason for that. I'm going to start this off with George Floyd's situation was a terrible accident. Not even an accident. It was a terrible situation that should have never been happened. It could have been handled tons of different ways. And I'm sorry that it happened. But George Floyd's situation was so prevalent and evident in social media and everybody's head because it was used as publicity. It was used as publicity to expand the Black Lives Matter movement.
Even in that fact, regardless, there should not be a situation to where it calls for a man to kneel on another man's neck.
No, and even in a situation, now George Floyd was under the influence of drugs, but in any situation, there should have been more training on the police part.
And even after that fact, like, even if he was under the influence, he still said,
"Chat, what's up with the?"
He still said, he can't breathe.
He can't breathe.
And it was at that moment he should have released pressure or
gotten into another position, like anything. And a headlock would have given him more air than you putting the weight of your body against his back, crushing his chest against the ground. His back was up, his chest was down, and from the video you could see that the police officer's knee was in between the shoulder blades, right in the middle of the lungs, compressing all the air out of it. Like you don't have a chance, especially if you have somebody's so controversial. Yes, it is very controversial. We're going to be talking about everything on here. But yeah, it was, and that's why I say, like, of course, support the Black Lives Matter movement, but when you say defund the police, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Honestly, I can't even touch on that, because what I've been saying is what, things I've been heard and things I've been seeing and doing research on, like, the very smallest.
Right, of course, you're doing the average person's amount of knowledge. You have the average person's amount of knowledge.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
This subject, I honestly did not think we were going to get onto.
No, I didn't think we were going to get onto it either. The only reason I say, if you think defunding the police is a good idea, you're an idiot. The only reason I say that is because if you want the police to be better, they're going to need money to do that.
It leads back to different training procedures.
Of course, but what do you need to put those training? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. When you take money away, right? If you take money away from a police station, right? Say like here in our town, right? Statistically speaking, crime goes up when you take money away from the township's police stations, right? Their police forces, when they lose money, crime rates go up, right? Because you don't have equipment, you don't have training, you don't have... But technically speaking, if you take more money away when you're expecting them to have better police officers, better training, better situations, right? How are you going to do that with less money?
I think what some people might think, and this is just what I literally
just thought. That's fine. Right, that's fine.
They don't mean take away the essential stuff. Obviously, we still need, some sort of force to come when we're in need. But maybe some people are thinking, take away the less essential things, like, having an assault rifle with every cop, having a shotgun with every cop.
I can see that,
because they're not there to hunt and kill. Every cop is there to serve and protect.
Very true. Very, 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 very true. So, their job is to protect
if they take away some of the fancy gadgets, right, which is the money that they're punching into it, and put that money maybe more towards training procedures and better training procedures and training modules, then in the end, you're taking away funds for the betterment and of the good of our serve and protect services.
I get that, and it's I can totally see that side. The only thing that I can't get along with is if you take away things. Like me as a kid, right? Obviously didn't work if you took my things away, right? The problems didn't go away if you took my toys away. You had to teach me what the problem was and then fix it from there. That's the only thing I'm saying. Because if you give these establishments the correct way of doing things, and don't get me wrong, there's always going to be bad apples in the bunch, right? There's always going to be bad cops. But you can't say that all cops are bad. A police officer, being a police officer is one of the careers that nobody wants to do right now. And that I feel like right now everybody completely takes advantage of, because the responsibility that police officers have are immense. They have to go out every day and see car wrecks, homicides, everything that you would think of. I'm not saying every cop sees that every day, because that's not what happens. But as a cop, you don't know what you're going to see the next day. And if you're in a situation where you have, say, me, I'm almost 5 foot, I'm going to say 5'2", right? I'm almost 5'3", right? If I was a police officer out on a patrol, and I had to report to, say, a domestic violence case, right? Now, this is an argument between a man and a woman, or a man and a man. Whatever the case may be, this is a domestic violence case. So I have to show up and see what's going on, make sure nobody's hurt, situation's going okay, right? If I show up and I see, again, I'm 5'2", pretty small.
Right.
If I knew jiu-jitsu, if I knew boxing, if I knew any form of fighting style, I would not be able to hold my ground against a 300-pound behemoth that's running at me with a knife.
Not necessarily. If hear me out, if you had the right training modules, it does not matter the kind of person, the height of the person, the type of person.
Right.
Because
you have some experience in karate.
When I was a kid, I took karate, and it went over everything with self-defense. If there was better self-defense mechanisms and modules that they would take in the police force, it would not matter the...
Nicky Poo. Oh, hey! Who's this? Drop your name in chat. All I see is Nicky Poo.
It would not matter the kind of person you are going up against, as long as it's not you're in your car, you're going up to the house, and they have a firearm pointed at you.
Yo, what's up, Matt?
With your situation, right? A 300-pound behemoth man running at you with a knife.
Right.
Does not take away the fact that you could not kick some ass and put that man on his ass and take his knife. It's just the fact of how you go about things.
It's how you go about the situation, which is why I presented you with that situation. That was really good. I appreciate the fact that you brought that other side to the table, because that just gives another reason to give police officers another form of training.
Which is another reason why they don't need to have the the money foundation into some of the weapons that they have. I'm not saying take away all the money that they have for those weapons,
Right.
and I'm not saying just trash those weapons and throw them away, but I don't think a cop should carry, and I'm not saying that they do, but I don't think a cop should carry.
Okay, so Manny says that's what tasers are for, but cops seem to forget that and forget that they have them and reach for the Luger. Yeah, that's very true. They do have a taser, but tasers don't work for everybody.
Well, but that's again.
If you got a crack addict, right? If you have somebody on crack or on meth or on any kind of hardcore drug to where pain is just like a simple construct to them and they don't really care about what happens to their body and they want to get to like the extra dimensional plane, right? And they're running at you and you shoot a taser in their chest, they're not going to give up.
That's a very different situation than an everyday situation.
Yes.
That's in the way that I'll put it, a 1 in 100 situation.
Yes, that is a yes. I did have to throw that curveball at you because you threw the curveball at me, but I do get that. It's a matter of training.
Even still in that situation, there is no need for a first reaction of hand on gun.
Bam, right to the gun. Bam. Boo!
Because, again, it's going back to judging a book by its cover. They may seem like the crack addict that can take pain and do this and do that.
Cops aren't, Nick P. said cops aren't trained to shoot for fun. When they shoot to kill. Yes.
And that's not how they should be trained either.
Exactly. It's not first instinct.
If needed, which...
That's no, not if needed. If the situation is that dire. That is your last resort. That's why you have a baton, pepper spray, and a fucking taser.
But
2 different kinds of tasers. Sometimes they have a 2-in-1 taser, but
even then, the last resort should be shoot to wound, or even shoot to disable.
Right, shoot to disable, shoot for the legs, shoot for extremities, something that'll knock them down, take the wind out of them.
And even then, it should be a very more extreme situation than some of the, like...
It should be somebody's coming at you with a bigger gun than you have.
You see situations in, social media, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, even just advertisement on YouTube of cops pulling up to people sitting in their cars, hand on gun. Granted, the situation could be a lot worse. They could have cases. They could be, a wanted person. But I don't think those situations should be taken to the matter of, oh my God, my life's in danger. They're in a car.
Exactly.
You need to inspect the car as you're walking up. Yes, for safety, you can have your hand on your taser.
Right.
The most you can do if you see them reach for anything, tase them. Give them a little bit of shock.
Right.
It should not be gun, because the gun then, as Nick P. said, shoots to kill.
Yeah, they're trained. Yeah, exactly. And it should, like you said, it should be the exact opposite. Go for physical means if possible. And I understand, like it. Manny said some also have a pocket knife, so they have multiple options, but still shoot to kill. And there are multiple options, but like there's also that human aspect that most people don't think about.
Everybody's human.
Exactly. Everybody's human. Everybody's human. You can't make the perfect decision every time. And I'm not saying that cops have to make the perfect decision every time, but that decision shouldn't be first inclination. Let's reach for the hip.
Even if, like, let's say it can be let's reach for the hip if it's a taser, because that's understandable. you're walking up, you're not quite sure what this person's going to do in certain situations.
So, yes, of course. Actually, Nick actually brought up a pretty good, devil's advocate situation. He said, depends on the situation. If you're alone on a call and a crazy dude is trying to attack you with an unknown weapon, I promise you 9 times out of 10, the gun will be drawn out. And honestly, if I got called to a house of some kind of disturbance with people inside with some kind of unknown weapon, I'm gonna go up to them steps with my gun drawn, or at least my taser. But that's a different situation.
I'm going off of you're speeding on a highway, and the color of your skin gives the cop a different reaction.
Exactly. That is where the line is drawn. Especially not even considering race in this picture. If you're driving on the highway and a cop pulls you out of your car because you just over a speeding ticket,
it should
never happen. It should never happen. They should never cross the line of where your window is. It
all comes down to different situations. If you're not complying with the cop, he's giving you multiple situations to step out of your vehicle. Right. You ask him, why do you need me to step out of the vehicle? I've, provided you with identification and registration.
Right, exactly. If the situation holds up to be true, you present both forms of identification. You're fairly presentable. With the police officer. Everything on your part is A-okay, and then it still goes south. Then there's a problem. Then you can blow the whistle and say that this cop is a bad cop, or this situation was a bad situation, and something shouldn't have happened the way that it did. Now, on the other side, people inside the car can also be assholes. They can also be fairly difficult. And I get that people can be difficult, but in the same general aspect, so can cops.
The cop should not be focused on the passengers in the car unless it is required. If it's a minor, he pulled over.
Manny said the law is flawed. There's multiple ways for cops to legally pull you out of the car because they want to. Now that is true. They can take you out of the car and say that you are being detained. Right? You're being detained.
That's also a different situation.
Exactly. Because you're being taken out of the car and you're being detained, you may just be taken out of the car and put in handcuffs to avoid any other kind of situation. Because they don't know you. They don't know you.
I would. Yes, it's fucked up. Yes, it shouldn't happen. But if it's for the cop's safety and his sense of manner.
Exactly, because we do have to be safe on both sides of the equation.
I would much rather it be that way than being hand on gun.
Of course, yeah, drawing the gun, get out of the car, like that. I would much rather say, all right, could you please step out of the vehicle? You're going to be detained. You're not under arrest. You're being detained because there is a difference. Yeah. And plenty of times, I'm sorry, but when Cops was on, I was watching Cops, right? And there's a new kind of show that they put out. It's called Live PD. Live PD?
Yeah,
it should be.
Every cop show that I've heard of or seen has been taken down since Floyd.
I'm not sure.
That's what I heard of.
Right, I'm not sure if it's still up. Don't quote me on that. But when it was on, I was a fairly avid watcher of it. Not because of I'm super blue and da 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 da. Some of them were just funny. But most of the time, in situations where they had to search the car, the person was being a little difficult. They were being suspicious. Anything was happening. Could you please step out of the car? You're being detained. You're not under arrest. You're being detained for my safety and yourself. That's it.
that's also another situation that is just kind of being, I want to say, kicked under the rug. I feel like when it comes to situations of somebody starts a video in their car, right? And it's
Right.
in the meanwhile of that person being yanked out of the car.
Right. Nick also he put out there that law enforcement training should definitely be looked at. They need new training techniques for sure, but defunding the police is not the best way to take that on. I do wholeheartedly agree with that. It's for me personally. Marcus has a good way of looking at it too, but me personally, it's a matter of like looking at it like it's it's people that you're treating and you're dealing with, because people think that like the way that I like hear it being talked about, like, oh, defund the police, it's like you're trying to defund Apple, or you're trying to defund, I don't know, TikTok. Like, you're trying to defund a corporation. The police are not a corporation. They're a nationwide force that we give the responsibility of protecting and serving.
I don't think. Let me think. What's the right? I don't think that would be a. No, I was gonna say I don't think that would be a fair judgment point, but it's fair in a sense. The what's being voiced and what's being heard is not what I believe is the full statement. Right there, what's being heard is
just from what you said. What's being voiced and what's being heard are two different things. Yes. That's the there's separation between the two of them right now.
It's what's being heard is defund the police, not why.
Right.
Why defunding the police?
Right. Nobody's. I have personally. I have not done too much research on this topic, but I've personally not heard anybody give me reasons why. You have given me a couple reasons why we should, defund certain parts of the police force, not the entire thing.
And it probably results in more research into see what people are trying to go by defunding.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the general movement being heard is defund it, and they're not putting out why it should be defunded or where it should be defunded. And I think what I said was a pretty good, program to look into.
It's a good start. Honestly, it's a good start. It's a good way to start looking into what they can defund. Maybe what they can. Maybe no money needs to be taken away or given. Maybe they can just shift around some programs and figure something out. I watch podcasts pretty frequently. Or a podcast. It's the Joe Rogan podcast. Shout out to my dad in podcasting. Not my dad, not sponsored or anything like that. But he put it the best way. One of his guests put it the best way. I can't remember Jacques something. I can't remember his full name, but he said that 20% of time in the police force, of 20% of a police officer's time should be spent training.
And that just goes right back onto doing the research, because then
exactly
in situations like this, when you're trying to talk to somebody about it, you can have the facts, you can have the numbers, and everything that you would need to make a solid point to actually get across, and then, you explaining it to them be like, well, shit, you're right.
Right.
And not just go, well, this and that and this and this. You need to have an end to each off-road that they have for you.
Right. You have to when it comes to this research that we're talking about, it's a matter of like making sure that every side is looked at. Every angle is looked at.
And that's
every crevice is taken care of. Right? Because you can't, in this situation, you can't leave weak links. It's not something that you can just brush over. It's something that has to be addressed, and it seems like people want it addressed now.
I mean, but that is what's happening. They are leaving weak links, and it makes the situation worse because then it blows up for the wrong reason. People don't know the full situation. They don't know 100% what they're talking about, but they know 50% of what they're talking about.
Yeah, I get that. Manny put something out there. He said, "I think defunding the police is stupid, but I believe in building the department from scratch, like either getting everyone new training or fire everyone and hiring based on how many complaints that have been filed against them." I get that. I get the fact, like, okay, like you take your staff and either completely liquidate them and get new police officers, which will take a lot of resources and a lot of time and that is very drastic.
Everything we've been talking about,
of course,
is going to take plenty of time and effort and procedures, modules, training, firing, hiring.
Right.
Because there's certain people now who have been trained in a different way to where if you try and do this now, you are throwing off the entirety of their training and giving them a whole new plate. It's like going up to, the winner for the hot dog eating contest and going, all right, now, you just literally inhaled 30 hot dogs. Do the same thing with hamburgers.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
It's not the same.
They're similar, but it's not the same, and it's just different, and it's a big adaptment, and which is why it's going to take a lot more time than people would like. People want
instant. People want TikTok instant. People want instant gratification.
People want the movements in a very shortly manner, in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, we can't. I'm sorry, but you can't completely reface the police departments in 6 months.
Some things are very well doable and can be done within the next couple of months.
Of course, there could probably within the next 6 months there could be plenty of policies that are put out that can at least start us on the road to new training policies, new budgeting policies, new everything.
I feel like that's definitely reasonable, but then again, from what the people see, right? This is bringing it back to people can't look at things on both sides. You need to see a situation from both sides. And you won't just hear this about political or racial or any kind of situation. You'll hear it about any situation, a high school argument to, two men are standing in a room with a gun and one's dead.
Right.
You're going from a bully and an innocent kid to a cop and a black guy.
Right. It's a strange situation. It's
like those are very different situations, but it still needed to be looked on from both sides. And I'd like to say one side matters more, but that's not the movement that, at least what I think, everyone is going for. Everyone should be going for, no matter the side, no matter the situation, you still need to take the time to learn that side.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a 4-hour conversation with the cop and a 20-minute decision with the black guy.
Right.
It shouldn't be a 2-hour lecture with the bully and then a pat on the back for, the nerd.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be, a guy went into the girl's bathroom so he gets attention, but then the girl that bitch slapped him gets to walk free because that's what you're supposed to do.
There's two sides to every coin, like you're saying. It's a
and that's what we're not going to get. It
But
should be ruled.
Yes, it should be ruled evenly, but that's not how a world works.
And that's what people are trying to get, but it's not.
Exactly. It's not how we can do things. It's not. Well, we can. We have the ability, but right now,
that's
not. It's not really feasible. It doesn't. It wouldn't make sense to do it as fast as you guys are saying it as it wants to happen. It can probably happen, but you can't. Of course, it needs to happen, but it needs to happen. It can't happen in a few days.
I mean, it can't happen full send, but it definitely needs to go from 0 to 50, at least, within the next couple of months.
Well, did you know that most police officers, when talked to about the George Floyd incident, most police officers are absolutely disgusted?
And that's fine and great, but there was a whole team that was
involved in the situation.
You know?
What you guys' opinion on the use of rubber bullets being used to control crowds? Because I feel like they should use low-pressure water hoses. Low-pressure water hoses won't deter people. Well, rubber bullets... Okay, so rubber bullets are most of the time used in either riot control, either on the streets or in prisons.
Those are like, at least from what I've seen, it's been extreme riot situations.
Yes. But they use them in prison all the time, and prisoners absolutely hate them because they're rubber bullets. I mean, who wants to get hit with a 50-cent? I mean, they're pretty much the size of a regular size rubber ball. About the size of a quarter. And they hurt like a bitch, and they're hard rubber. I mean, it's a lot safer.
They also need to be used in extreme measures, which is going back to tasers. They have riot shields.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally in the name, riot shield. It's a shield to protect yourself from rioters, and even in movies, it's the extreme situations that you would rarely see.
You see riot shields. But, if you're in a riot situation, that's different. Well, I don't know about different, but that's complicated. Because if you're in a riot situation, you're not going to want to hurt the protesters.
But then again, the rubber bullets still did leave bruises.
Oh, yeah, they leave bruises and welts and everything, but they're not going to kill people. I think that's what Manny's trying to get at. Because, they're not going to kill people. But they're going to hurt like a bitch. They're going to teach you a fucking lesson, for sure.
And I guess that's what they're really going for, is the more of, we are going somewhere whether you're moving or not.
Right.
But then that could also be taken into different ways of riot shields.
Yeah, but listen, if you're in a riot situation to the point to where you already have riot shields, you may just be holding the line, right, at that riot situation. But if you have a riot, you're going to have one person, well, maybe however many people it takes to cover that street, one person wide. If 5 people charge at one person, right, you're probably not going to be able to stand a chance. Now, I get it. You're trying to think, but hear me out. If a crowd, a riot, charges at this line of, one by one people, right? If they're a 1 by 1 block, if 5 1 by 1 blocks charges at one, they're done for. And if you are consistently told we're going to hold this line. If you try to pass this line, there are going to be consequences for your actions.
Well, see, that's different.
But that's what they do. That's what they are legally required to do. And in most cases at riots, they at least have a bullhorn, or somebody has a bullhorn telling the rioters, like, you have to stay back, you have to stay behind barriers. Like, there are rules. You're allowed to do these things. You're allowed to protest, but you have to be legally civil. Peaceful protest is okay. Violent protests are not okay.
Which also brings it back to the riots and the peaceful protests being mixed in with Black Lives Matter. There was plenty of handfuls of peaceful protesters, and then people who just wanted to get in the stores because of the situation.
Right,
because of
the looters, the extremists, everything like that.
Because they knew cops were distracted trying to back people and stop them. They knew cops were distracted, and the main focus wasn't on people looting stores and people getting there and getting in a getaway car and getting out of there and, taking stuff. So if you get a good amount of people, 100 people, to storm a store at the same time,
you're not getting stopped. They're not getting touched.
It takes 10 out of the 100 people to make sure you guys are set.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's I don't know. It's a matter of safety when it comes to rubber bullets. I feel like that's a 100% better solution, especially when it comes to crowd control and riots. 100% a better solution than actual bullets.
Rubber bullets should also, right, if the riot is not too far out of hand by this moment, should also come to one of the last resorts.
Yes.
It should be multiple warnings. I would even go as a warning shot, right? Not like a gunshot, but like a warning shot as like a sound, like, this is what you're gonna hear.
Well, that's why they have, like, smoke and stuff. That's why they have tear gas. That's why they have everything like that. That's why there are steps to riot control. I'm not sure what they are. I'm not sure what the procedures are, but I know there's most likely steps and procedures to get to that point. But I do agree with the fact that it should be, warnings. Then the riot shields, right, to keep that line. If they keep pushing, then maybe, like, that final warning, maybe that warning shot, then the gas, right, the smoke, and then maybe the rubber bullets, and I don't know.
So in my head, this should be the line, right? You're getting called to push a riot back, right, because you need this space. No questions asked. Like, you need to get the people out of there. They're charging. Right? It should be riot shields. People saying, stay back, stay back, stay back. If it's 5 people charging at the same time, right? Taser in hand, right? Because it's still not going to kill the person. It's going to probably hurt a lot less than the rubber bullets, right? Taser in hand. Maybe with the riot shield, like, punch the taser a couple times. Try and
you don't want to hurt your police officers, dude. You don't want anybody. You don't want anybody to get hurt in this situation, honestly.
But then they're setting them up so that way the police officers ultimately don't get hurt. But then they're
would you rather the police officers get the shit kicked out of them because they don't have
that.
Right, but if they don't have the time, if they don't have the time to, like, okay, well, I have my riot shield in one hand, I have to protect myself from 5 people, reach for my taser, and then maybe try to get a couple of them before they get to me and, the rest of the people behind my line. I don't think that's even a good option. If you want to keep people back, if you want to hold that line, you're going to start getting people before they get to that line. You're not, if you're in a castle and you have another kingdom trying to raid your fucking castle, you're gonna have a moat in front of your castle wall. You're gonna have something that gets those soldiers that are trying to get into your fucking castle before they get to that last resort wall. You know? And I don't... If I have soldiers stationed outside my moat, I'm not trying to get them fucking killed. You know? Because there is as much value in them as there is in the people that are riding.
So this could also lead to also different situations as well. It could come to, are they armed? Are they threatening the officers? Are they trying to harm the officers? Are they making the officers feel harm? Which I feel like should not be that much of a influence to that. That shouldn't even really be an influence to that, because in training, they are trained to deal with people threatening them, screaming at them, yelling, screaming.
Right, of course. I'm not saying like they can't take a little bit of talking shit from the other side of a guardrail.
But then
I'm talking about a crowd that is minutes away from crushing the line of police officers that's keeping the peace. That is the situation that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about a peaceful protest with a few bad eggs. I'm talking about the situation where, I'm not saying that's what you're talking about, but it seems like I'm talking about these cops are at as much risk from these protesters, if not more at risk from these protesters than the protesters are from their rubber bullets. Because at the end of the day, a couple bruises aren't going to be as bad as if you take a fucking lead pipe to the forehead or a brick to the forehead.
Well, see, that's also depending, because if it's a riot that does not have weapons or intentions of harm, and they're just trying to get somewhere, and they're pushing police, and they don't have weapons.
Right, and that's where gas comes in, I guess, but that's still violent measure.
That's still too much, because they are unarmed. You are armed with protection.
I get that.
And that's what I was going on.
Yes, that would be an unfair advantage. But I'm talking about, when I think of riot, I think of violence.
When I think of riot, I think of not necessarily people are carrying weapons. Like, for some reason, it goes to Orange is the New Black in my head. Right? They ended up having a riot. Yes. They very much well did a lot of harm in that riot. But not... From what I can remember from the show, don't quote me on it, not everybody was looking for harm. They were looking to...
Of course, and you can't... I get that's where, like, you might want to evaluate the situation, but if 75% of that crowd has some kind of weapon, you can use a fucking bike lock as a weapon if you tie a shirt to it. You can break some fucking teeth if you swing a bike lock at somebody.
Well, but then still, you'll only see riot shields with armored men who have face shields, body armor, 2 layers.
But you don't want them to take hits. Just because they have armor doesn't mean they want to use it. That's also a last resort. They still don't want to get touched.
I guess my main point is 90% of the time, in my eyes, they jump to unneeded measures.
Yes.
9 out of 10 times, measures well out of hand are taken that should have taken more evaluation.
Right. That's reasonable.
should have been looked at further before giving the okay to do certain things.
Okay, well then let me ask you this. Let's go to the extreme situation, since we just worked out kind of what you were thinking. I agree about what you're saying. I think that was a little bit of a miscommunication between the two of us. But if we're talking about the worst scenario situation where you can't exactly think about the best outcome, right? And you have a completely angry crowd with weapons.
All right, so
listen. I have a simple question. If this situation is coming to pass, and you're the police chief, right? And you're in charge of the people that are holding this line, and you have a couple thousand people in a crowd that, went from a peaceful protest to an angry mob that are threatening the lives of your police officers, are you going to tell them to pull out their rubber bullets or no?
Like, worst comes to worst, at a point, I would tell them, yes, take the rubber bullets. But if you're going in knowing it's an angry mob, granted, if it switches, right? At first it's a mob, right? They're riled up, getting frustrated, and then it's an angry mob. That's different. If you're going into it knowing it's an angry mob, you should not just be sending one line of riot shields.
Yeah, but most of the time you're not going to know when it's going to be an angry mob. You can't predict that. But I'm saying, if you have, I don't know, let's say 50 to 100 police officers at the situation, where there's a couple thousand people, and all they have is a baton, some armor, and a shield. And they're about to get absolutely fucking demolished, right? There's maybe there's 50 to 100 cops right there. Most of them are holding the line. Some of them are behind, prepared with the weapons that they need to keep the line back, right? Some of them are intelligence, some of them scattered all over the place, but there are, a total of 50 to 100 of these people, and they're about to get absolutely fucking run over by these, this mob.
At that point, it would then obviously take place. Like, if you're about to be demolished, you're well outnumbered, they're clearly there to hurt you, injure you, do whatever they can to get through you. At that point, then yes, measures should be taken up to point.
Right.
But I feel like, at least, there's more times where there's not measures like that.
Right.
And they're still taken.
Yes, and that's the bad part about having these things so accessible to the police officers in these situations.
Which is why I think people are saying
defund the police. But at the same time, if you take those things away, they're not going to have them when they do need them.
Not necessarily.
But you said earlier in the podcast that if in the situation that you defund the police, you were saying that you would take away some of their equipment. You would take the shotgun or the assault rifle, some of their equipment away as the defunding, right?
Right.
So if you defund and take that equipment away, and they don't have as much of those guns as they need, the rubber bullet guns that they need to go to these situations and correctly handle them, they're going to be unprepared. That's the only. But back to I wanted to say something about the situation that that we just went through. When I hear riot and the use of rubber bullets in the riot situation, my mind instantly goes to the worst situation. Not like a normal riot or a normal everyday, like, oh, well, in Seattle today there was a Black Lives Matter movement riot and stores were raided, but no one was hurt or killed, right? That's not what I think of. What I think of is people are burning down buildings in Seattle. There are people breaking into cars, stores. Police officers are being beaten with pipes and bricks and books and bike locks. And the situation is absolutely out of control.
It's at that point that they should, yes, take control. But going back to what you were saying, I don't think it's necessary for, not saying that this is how it is.
Right.
I don't think it's necessary for every cop to have their own personal rubber bullet gun.
Yes.
There should be enough armed police or soldiers, whatever it is, to be able to control that factor without everyone having it.
Right. You're saying you want to supply them with what they need, not what they want. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and that's also going back to the defundment movement.
That is probably a better way of putting it than we're just going to take their stuff away.
And I wish that's how it would have came out, because then, even then, it still would have been a problem for every police academy, because they still wouldn't be okay with it.
Right.
Because their procedures are, okay, you get this, 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 and this. It's like how police were like 20 years ago. Okay, you get, mace, a taser, and a pistol if those extreme measures are needed. Now it's, okay, you get a taser, a pistol, an AR, and a shotgun. That's not exactly what it is. Don't quote me on it, but that's what it's similar to. That's what it's coming to.
Yeah. And I wasn't laughing at you. Nick put something up. He said one unfortunate situation is that there are some people who go to the riots and protest with the intention to hurt law enforcement. That is something that isn't reported. That is something that people don't even hear about. And I'm glad that Nick brought that up, because there are plenty of situations where like that are really unfortunate. That there are people out there that are looking to hurt the other people that are going to these situations.
That's also somewhat of an unfair statement to put out, because then that brings up, why would it have to be brought up if it's law enforcement, but it wouldn't have to be brought up if it was this goes back to racial things.
Well, don't get me wrong. What do you mean it goes back to racial things? We're just saying that there are some people out there that go to situations to hurt other people. There are people that just like to hurt people.
Well, but then it can't just be subjected to law enforcement. There is many situations of just anybody being hurt in a situation, in a serious situation, that should be brought to light, that just isn't.
Right. There are a lot of things that just aren't publicized because they're not good enough when it comes to being a story.
It's either it's not good enough or it hurts the image too much, right? If we're gonna go off of law enforcement, right?
Mm-hmm.
2 cops shot and killed on the street. But then just a couple, like last week, a group of 10 teenage kids were killed. But that's not the headliner of the news. But then 2 cops were killed, and that's the headliner?
No. I get what you're trying to say, but I feel like that situation would be flip-flopped. Because most of the time what news goes for, depending on their political situation, right? Because honestly, most of the news in our area is fairly left-wing, right-wing. Bernie. They all like Bernie.
Okay.
That's I forget the difference between left and right.
I can't tell you.
There's Republicans and Democrats. I don't remember the difference between left and right on both. I don't know. But it all comes down to a matter of what are people gonna want to watch or hear about, right? And there are plenty of murders, homicides, shootings, any form of killing that you can think of off the top of your head. There are probably a couple of those that happen a day that aren't reported.
I mean, it can also go from, and it's going to have to come back to racial issues, of something that actually happened. White kid, 5 years old, is killed. Makes the news same day. Black kid, age 5 years old, is killed. Makes social media. Because somebody else saw it, because a family is hurting.
Yeah.
It should be that fairness of, if you're going to report something.
Well, where was that though?
It was a little bit ago. I think some black older gentleman literally caught the kid on the street with one of his siblings, and straight up just shot him in the head.
Right, but where?
I'm not sure, but the fact that I heard of it on the news, I saw it from the news first, to then, I feel like it matters where the location is, but then again, it shouldn't matter at the same time.
Well, because the only reason I asked you that is because you may see okay, it's on social media and I saw it on here, but I didn't hear about it at the news. All I'm saying is it might not have been in the news here. It may been on the news wherever it happened. If it happened in a different state, it's gonna happen on a different news network. You see what I'm trying to say? I'm not saying that you're wrong in that situation, but I'm saying that that's something that could happen.
But then again, if that did happen, right? News situations, I feel like, take certain situations and blow them up.
Yes.
And then they take other situations that should be blown up because it's the same circumstance, that just is not blown up.
Well, that's why I said earlier on that the George Floyd situation was purely publicity. It was an unfortunate situation, but it was so all over the place because it matched up with the current, timeline of what was going on in the current day. The Black Lives Matter movement was already kind of happening, and then George Floyd happened. Bam! Instant media coverage across the country. You had tens of hundreds, tons of news channels covering the story about George Floyd and what happened, tons of information going around the internet, and then, you might hear about somebody, you might hear about somebody else getting shot and killed, but because of the situation and the current turmoil, it was more pumped up than something else that was also equally as important. Right? I don't know what, I don't have an example, but, that just shows you, how the news and social media and any kind of, public platform use certain situations to push their agenda, right? That's what I'm trying to say.
What I'm trying to get off is, it shouldn't take a situation to blow up on social media, to get a following, to get a viewing for a news channel to report it and put it on the news.
Right.
It should be, holy shit, this happened, it's happening.
And it's unfortunate.
And it should not be right, it should be reported, it should be public,
Right.
people should be seeing it.
Right.
But I feel like what you're saying is 100% true.
Right.
The news is just taking what's being blown up and it's going, oh yeah, I saw it off of CNN. Oh really? Let me watch CNN to do this.
Right.
that should in no means be how the news is being taken.
Right, and that's it's just the society that we live in right now. Because we as human beings right now, we're so fed off of social media and instant gratification that, like, you know, as you swipe through TikTok videos, your body is like, ooh, this one was funny. Ooh, this one was funny. Ah, that one, wasn't so funny. But I'm going to keep going until I get another funny one. That's that instant gratification. That's what the news and social media is trying to take advantage of to push their personal agendas.
And that's the most upsetting and messed up part.
It's absurd.
It should never even be an option to look at it that way.
Right. But it's just people wanting money, taking advantage of of certain situations.
It needs to be thrown. It not even need. Yeah. It needs to be thrown as.
Oh, Nick said it was on it was on the news and social media.
Floyd, from what I heard, was on social media.
Well, no. When he said the riots and people going to protests with the intention to hurt law enforcement, that was on the news, and I can back him up on that.
Well, I mean,
because there was the one kid that his family dropped him off at a riot, and he was carrying an AR-15. Or some kind of, I'm not saying, maybe not an AR-15, something. He was carrying a firearm, right? Because it was an open carry state, you're allowed to do that.
Maybe we're thinking of the same situation.
I think we are. He went to the protest, and I think he shot and killed 2 people.
2 people, yep. That's the situation I was thinking of. Because looking at him, the whole crowd turned on him.
Mm-hmm.
So the kid starts running, people are trying to tackle him, whatever. The kid's freaking. First of all, how are you? If it was his family, if that's the 100% fact of it,
mm-hmm.
How are you going to drop them off with a fully weapon? Like, have a fun night, honey. Like.
What parent in their right mind would do that?
Honestly. I'm sure it wasn't the parent. If it was the parent, I think they need to really reconsider what they're doing with their family and their kids.
Right. I don't know. Billy, Bobby, and Sally like to go in the shooting range, and they needed some live targets, so just drop them off at the nearest.
You're sending your kid not only in an unstable crowd, right?
Right.
But then you're also sending him with a weapon, right? Where cops could also potentially pull up to be.
Right.
To then, now that kid can be charged for murder. That kid can go to jail.
I'm pretty sure he was acquitted, but which means he was like the situation was. I actually don't know. I don't know.
But you should.
It's just it's
messed up.
It's a situation that shouldn't have happened.
It should. Well, honestly, most of everything that's happened during quarantine that's brought up riots, everything except for the peaceful movements and
peaceful
protests shouldn't have happened. Looting should have never happened.
No.
The riots that killed people should never have happened.
Yeah.
The police that detained peaceful protesters for kneeling in front of the cops. I've seen plenty of videos of that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Never have happened.
But at the same time, that should never happen in any circumstance. But like, if the police say like you're not allowed to cross this line, right? Like, you know how I said earlier, like at riots they have like that wall of police with the riot shields, right? Well, usually they have like a barrier in front of them, and then they have protesters. right? So I feel like in certain situations they were like, all right, don't pass this line. I'm not saying in every video that you saw, like, this is what happened, but like, all right, don't pass this line, and then they come in front of the line and kneel, and then you see them like, oh, well, why are you doing this?
There's probably some situations like that.
Right, of course.
But majority of the videos I've seen, it's been a line of protesters and a line of cops.
Right.
They would sit there, the protesters would be talking to the cops would just be sitting there.
Right.
And
there are plenty of people that will play the victim card, right? There are people on the other side that are like, oh, well, da-da-da-da, but they didn't listen to the police. In most cases, like where, it's like, oh, well, these people were, detained at a peaceful protest for no reason, that is unfortunate, and it shouldn't have happened. Let the people, it's one of their rights, so you can't exactly take it away from them. A right to peaceful protest. Come on now.
I mean, so all right, I just had somebody text me. They said, "Don't you think protests and riots are totally different things? Peaceful protests are almost never covered on the media." That is
peaceful. Yeah.
So they are very much completely different things.
Yes. And riots are let's lay down the roadwork for what we are saying that the difference is. Riots are violent. There is violence involved when you say something is a riot. A riot can form from a protest.
I get what that person is saying.
Right? But a protest is people coming together to protest something that they don't like.
Now, so what I'm clicking from that person, what that person was saying is, the police were acting, going off of kind of what you said, with riots, they say in the riots, don't pass this line.
But yes, we are talking about that Kyle dude. Yes. Yeah, it's sad that the peaceful protests don't get the recognition they deserve. Those peaceful protests bring people together. Yes, they do bring people together. That is the point of the peaceful protests. That is the point. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. So, riots, they tell people, don't pass this line, don't pass this line.
Right.
And then they're quick to move in action. Right? Peaceful protests, they're not in any way, shape, or form on intentionally hurting them,
right?
Intentionally hurting the cops. So even if they were to pass the line and then kneel,
right,
it would be unnecessary for aggressive actions and aggressive movements of detaining them, pulling them, ripping them up, putting the hands behind their backs, and then essentially putting them in handcuffs and having them knelt behind the line of cops, watching the other protests.
Right.
Those are completely different situations, which was definitely what that person was saying. And that's a really good point that should also still be brought to mind.
I'm glad that you brought that up, because it's a riot fundamentally has to spark from something. Like, it doesn't just, you can't just have people meeting up and then all of a sudden it's a riot, right? I'd say probably 98% of the time. I'll give the other 2%. I'll give the other percent a good 2%, because I can't say 1%. 98% of the time, it starts from a protest. 98% of the time, protests are just protests. The only time that people really riot is when the police do something fucked up. The crowd has somebody in there that just starts an uproar, and then, somebody sees somebody, like, break one window, or throw a brick, or do something, or, run into a store and start doing something. It only takes one person for everybody else to get the thought in their mind and start following along.
For sure, because then it's like, shit. If you have, right, a group of, I'll even say 45 people walking up with you, right, to something very relatable, to something, to Target, right? And you see one person just kind of pocket something. You're going to want to do it.
Yeah.
Because you have that crowd.
Right.
2, the coverage.
Mm-hmm.
And 3, they can't stop everybody.
Right, exactly. And even Nick said, sadly, news channels cover riots because it gets more views than, say, like a peaceful protest.
And that's like, there's channel news that do like morning, like sunshine, softness, like, oh, look, a little kid walking with his mom in the sun. That needs to be, oh my God, look, we have, protesters here. They should be interviewing them, like, what are you protesting for?
Right.
Why are you out here? What's the movement? What's the point? What are you trying to get across?
Right.
But they're just not doing it because it's more of the media making it an issue than making it something good, which is still messed up. The news channels that don't do that are the ones that should be getting the most views.
And honestly, there aren't really that many news channels that don't do that, which is why it's so hard to find a good source of news. It's hard to find a source of news that everyone trusts. Because there's no unbiased news out there.
Oh no.
There's no unbiased. It's very, very, very hard to come by an article or a newsletter or something that's written out there, or even a video that's published that isn't biased in some way. You have plenty of public news channels that are just like, oh yeah, we're fairly democratic, we're fairly we're fairly liberal, we're fairly conservative. By the way, most news channels are fairly conservative, because they're geared towards like older viewers.
Those are the only people that
are pretty
really,
conservative.
Like consistently.
As most people get older, they kind of become more conservative. So it makes sense. But
I think we should actually take a call in.
Call in?
Yeah. Get somebody else on this. What are we at? What do we got to hit to get a call?
Well, we have 4 viewers currently.
Okay.
Well, I don't know what concurrent means. Does that mean like reoccurring viewers? Because like every once in a while we'll have like no viewers for a few minutes, or like a few seconds, and then like a few seconds later we'll have 3, and then a few seconds later we'll have Who are you thinking about having our call in be?
Just somebody, because chats they've been having.
Oh yeah, of course.
Some ideas, and it'd be good to get a.
We have about 20. I'd say about 20 minutes left on the stream.
Concurrent means done at the same time, existing, happening.
So we have 4 viewers currently.
Okay.
So I'd say probably let's get it up to 5, and we'll take a caller.
The last 20 minutes.
Last 20 minutes of stream. If
like
there's any last minute comments, please drop them down into the chat. Any questions, anything like that. We're gonna probably putz around for the next 20 minutes, maybe get a caller. If you do get people in here for the last 20 minutes, it would be very much appreciated.
Even if you just have topic ideas, definitely drop it in chat.
Yes, definitely.
We are going to be doing this Tuesdays and Thursdays,
7 p.m.
7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Definitely tune in. Maybe put us on like the back burner or something. Like put us on. Just you don't even have to watch.
Nick said some. Just put the eyes in there.
just like connect a headphone. Put us on. Just listen to the conversation. If you got something to add, go right back to it. Do some homework while you're listening or something. Put it on the back burner. You don't have to.
the mellowness of most of the time that we'll be talking, we'll have some pretty decent subjects. Most of the time it'll stretch a little bit, but it's good to listen to. A podcast is to listen to. It's not really super visual.
Yeah, so definitely look into that. Tuesdays and Thursdays. One of us is going to be doing it. Whether if
Did we already talk about the election?
We did early on.
We did, yes, we did early on in the stream.
I mean, we could very well bring it up again.
I mean, I think the main thing was like Bernie's kind of winning. I'm not Bernie. Biden's winning currently.
I don't know when they're gonna announce it.
Well, we're still waiting on Nevada. We're still waiting on.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, we got our 5. We got Ethan in.
So all right. I guess
sexy bastard.
Who should they call me?
Who's they? Yes. If
give us a ring, we'll pick up.
Yes. Give me a ring if you have my new number. Whoever gets to one of us first gets to be the caller.
Gets to be caller number 1 on MoosePackPodcast. Give us a ring. We'll get you in here to get your opinion on the election and riots and peaceful protests and everything for the last 15 minutes we got.
About 17 minutes left in the stream.
Or if you guys want to totally flip it up, we can get a new subject for the last 20 minutes.
Just about, yeah. If somebody drops something pretty juicy.
But yeah. So at least one of us will be doing it. We'll have something up. We'll have some sort of topic. We're currently in the progress of making a topic list.
Yes.
So again, any kind of suggestions you'd like to hear, if we have a specific topic that we're going to start with, we'll make sure to post that in, our socials when we're going to hype it up, or we're hyping it up, or putting out there a reminder.
Right. Most of the time, the so-called set list for our podcast will be it will be either in the description of the posts that I put on my Instagram. By the way, please follow my Instagram at MoosePackPodcast. That is where. Yes, I'm gonna pin that in chat. That will be where all of any. For some reason it went down.
Stream.
Yeah. It's fine. We're back up. Yeah, we're good now. Sorry, guys. I don't know what exactly happens. This happens occasionally. I think it just happens when I don't touch my laptop for a little bit. Topic idea: to end on a happy note. People should still care about one another no matter what they believe in or who wins the election.
Yes.
That is 100% true.
Yes.
Honestly, out of any time in at least our short history of being alive, coronavirus is one of the times where we should have all been as close as possible to one another. And it turned out to be where we were, farthest away from each other. I mean, at least physically. Some people had their senior years taken away. Some people, had their jobs taken away. Some people had things lined up that just fell through because of, this year. And it's... Shut up! But that's, it's okay. Because, we all know that, at some point, one day, we will be able to get out of the house again and be able to spend time with our family, have fun with our friends, be able to go to the mall again, be able to go to Disney, everything that everybody used to enjoy no matter if it ends up being different or not, by the end of the day,
we'll still be able to do it.
we will still be able to do it. It's just a matter of being safe and just respecting other people.
Yeah, and it's like what chat said.
Close but 6 feet apart. Yes.
In the end, everybody is still human, no matter what your reasoning, no matter what you believe in. It's like saying, dude, you believe in God? Get out of my foot. You know what? No. Knife fight.
Knife fight. No, rubber bullet fight.
Right after the podcast. Okay? Catch me in the street.
Catch me
Swear to
outside.
God.
Catch me
I
outside.
swear to God. You
Catch
believe
me
in God?
outside.
You're done. You know what? But
that's one of the extremes, you know.
It's like saying you're a Muslim, dude. Just looking at you, I want to beat the shit out of you.
Right. It's
You know,
it's
there's
judging a book off the it's taking the stereotypes to the extremes that we don't need. It's the judging a book by its cover that we don't need.
Yeah.
It's the not taking it's the not taking people to be people that's the worst
And
thing right now.
it should never be taken that far out of hand.
Exactly. It
Everybody
crushes
still-
everybody. It's not just we're going in June, baby. Don't worry. Yeah, we are. I ain't joking. I will go. I think we'll
look,
figure something
if
out in
it's
June.
if Disney is open by then,
Best believe.
I will happily take a trip.
Screw the live stream MoosePackPodcast for a long boxing match. We'll be the next fucking Jake Paul and
Jake Paul and
KSI.
Deji. Yeah, Jake
Oh,
Paul and Deji.
Jeji.
That's Jake Paul and KSI are actually planning a fight. I think next August,
Yes.
like the August coming.
They're the fight's confirmed.
I'm excited for that. Honestly.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
They have a whole year to prepare, dude.
KSI and Logan Paul had so much hype behind it. I hate. You know what? No, I don't hate to say it. I want to see KSI whoop Jake Paul's ass.
Only because honestly, Logan, if he wouldn't have hit KSI over the head, he would have won. But he took a little bit too far after the fact. Like, all right, we know like if you wouldn't have done that, you probably would have won by decision. But like, chill out. You're still not hot shit. You still lost.
Honestly, like Logan Paul back in like what 2012 when he first started blowing up was fine.
Oh yeah.
Like,
I think
watching it.
everybody liked Logan Paul up until like a little bit before Suicide Forest.
Suicide Forest, man. That
I honestly enjoyed watching his stuff.
That-
and then
that was
like
his downfall.
after that, I kind of,
Why-
I watched occasionally.
what in a right mindset would you think that it was okay to show that?
Right.
That should have been instant. Like, yes, that's the truth. Like, that is the world. That is real life. Like, uncut content. With the way he was going, it should have been cut content.
It should
It should have been
cut content.
Oh shit, we need to get out of here. Cut.
And then explain why you had to get out of there. Not,
Not.
oh, okay, let me show you this dead body and then let's get out of here.
Yeah. It.
Because it's a Logan Paul video and we can do whatever we want.
It
No, Logan, you can't do whatever you
should not.
want.
Should not have been like that.
But yeah. Any last minute comments? We have about 9 minutes left in the stream.
9 minutes left in stream.
9 minutes left in the stream. We're supposed to have a caller.
Nobody called. That's okay.
It's okay. It's fine. If you don't have my number, it's okay. Yeah.
No, definitely very excited for Tuesday. Definitely excited to see what the topic's gonna be.
Yes.
Still haven't figured it out yet, but we can take topic ideas and we will definitely post and let you guys know what the topic will be.
Nick said, "All right, boys, I'm out. I'll try to show up for Tuesday. Have a good night and a good weekend, boys. My house is always open to you guys. If y'all want to chill any weekend." Thank you, Nick. I appreciate it. We love you.
Appreciate it, homie.
Peace out. Have a good night. Sleep dreams. Kisses.
Definitely watch social media though. Because I am doing my own thing outside of the podcast. I'm about to start up. Not gonna go too much into depth. I'm not gonna give myself a self promotion.
Right.
But definitely keep an eye out on social media.
Well, I will plug Marcus's socials in my socials as well, because I mean, honestly, you're probably going to be like a reoccurring co-host. So.
Yeah. So. Just definitely keep an eye on socials. I'm going to be updating it, whether it's from the podcast, whether I'm in it or not, or whether it's from whatever I'm doing on my own time.
Right.
Definitely very excited to do that stuff. Looking forward to it. And you're going to want to tune in. It's going to be a fun time.
Yes, definitely tune in. Smooches, Nick. I saw your little smooch out there.
Okay, Doug.
But yeah, I will make sure to plug Marcus's socials in my socials. Marcus makes music. He's going to make videos, does live streams, lots and lots of cool content. As you can see, as you've seen on here, he's very funny and charismatic and all that kind of stuff. Please,
yeah,
follow the socials on both our ends. Make sure to keep up to date on everything that's going on. MoosePackPodcast, and what's your channel? Come on.
Honestly,
plug
I
it.
don't have a solid name.
All right, well, we will have a solid name.
My socials, which right now is pretty much just MDOG, MDOWG. Working on a name for my YouTube at least. I'm not sure if I'm keeping the one I got right now, if I'm changing it. But
yes, sir. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for the wonderful stream tonight. Please come again next time. Make sure to subscribe, follow my socials, everything like that. And I'll see you guys next time.
MoosePack.